I'm Daniel, 41, married to Emma for 9 years. We weren't perfect, but I thought we were steady, the kind of quiet marriage that doesn't make fireworks, but builds a home out of small, consistent things. Morning coffee, Saturday grocery runs, inside jokes only we understood. Lately, though, there was a shift. Subtle at first, the way her phone never left her hand, or how dinner turned into scrolling sessions. I'd ask about her day, and she'd smile without looking up. Fine. Always fine. It wasn't another man I suspected. It was her circle. The friends she'd reconnected with after a high school reunion: Rachel, Lindsay, and Nora. Women who measured happiness by brunch photos and designer bags. Emma started spending more time with them, less with me. One night, I overheard Rachel's voice through the speakerphone. "You could do better, Em. He's nice, but where's the excitement? You deserve more." I remember the silence that followed. Then Emma's soft laugh. Not defending me, not disagreeing. Just that laugh that said maybe they're right. That laugh stayed in my head. I didn't confront her. Not right away. Instead, I watched the distance grow in quiet increments. Fewer kisses, shorter texts, an invisible wall between us in bed. I became polite, almost formal, afraid that any wrong word might prove her friends correct. Then came the dinner party. Rachel and the rest of them were there, loud and shining, sipping wine like they owned the night. I played host, serving plates and laughing where it was polite. But halfway through, Rachel leaned in across the table, eyes glittering. "Daniel, tell me something. Don't you ever feel like Emma settled?" The table went silent. Emma's cheeks flushed, and she hissed, "Rachel!" But she didn't deny it. She didn't say, "Of course not." Something cracked in me that night. Later, when everyone left, I found Emma on the balcony, arms crossed. I asked quietly, "Is that what you think too? That you could do better?" She didn't answer at first, just looked at the city lights. "I don't know," she finally said. "They just make me think. Maybe I stopped growing. Maybe I settled down too early." Her words weren't cruel, just honest. But honesty can cut deeper than malice. I nodded. "Maybe you did," I said. "So maybe you should find out." She turned toward me, eyes wide. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying," I replied calmly, "that if you really think you could do better, you should test it. Take the space you need. No guilt, no fights. Just find out." She stared like she couldn't believe it. I think part of her wanted me to beg, to promise I'd change, to fight for her. But I didn't. I was done competing with whispers from her friends. That night she packed a small bag. No tears, just tension, the kind that hums beneath skin and silence. I watched her leave, and instead of rage, I felt something colder. Relief. Days turned into weeks. I didn't chase her. I went to work, came home, cooked for one. The house was quiet, but peaceful. Then, about 3 weeks later, she texted, "Can we talk?" We met at a cafe near her new apartment. She looked different, stylish, sharper somehow. But her eyes carried that restless glint that told me she hadn't found peace. "It's weird," she said. "Everyone keeps saying how free I look. But I don't feel free. Just untethered." I stirred my coffee. "You thought better would mean lighter," I said. "Turns out, it's just lonelier." She bit her lip. "That's not fair. Neither was pretending you were content while your friends rewrote our marriage." Her eyes softened then. "Do you really think I was pretending?" I looked at her. This woman I'd shared nearly a decade with, and realized she was searching for validation more than love. The friends, the compliments, the constant comparisons. She needed to believe there was always a better version of life waiting beyond what she already had. So I gave her the truth. "You were happy, Emma. You just stopped recognizing it." She blinked hard, tears threatening. "Do you want me back?" That was the moment I realized she wasn't really asking if I loved her. She was asking if I'd still anchor her, hold her steady while she looked for herself in other people's mirrors. I finished my coffee and said, quietly, "I want you to find what you're looking for, even if it's not me." Her tears finally fell. "You're just letting me go like that?" "I'm not letting you go," I said. I'm letting go of trying to convince you I'm enough. After that cafe meeting, we drifted into silence. No fights, no begging, just two people walking away from something that had already ended long before words confirmed it. A month passed, then another. I settled into a new rhythm, working late, reading before bed, rediscovering how quiet peace can be when it isn't laced with tension. I missed her sometimes, but not the version of her who needed validation to breathe. Occasionally, mutual friends would mention her in passing. She's been going out a lot. She looks great lately. Seems happy. I smiled and nodded because that's what people do when they've already made peace with loss. But deep down, I wondered if happiness built on comparison could ever last. 3 months later, I ran into her by accident. A supermarket aisle of all places. She was standing there, comparing brands of coffee like it mattered more than the person standing next to her. When she looked up and saw me, her expression froze for half a second before turning into something polite. "Daniel," she said softly. "Emma," I replied. We talked, small talk, cautious. Then she mentioned she'd been seeing someone, a man named Tyler. "He's interesting," she said, voice trailing like she wasn't sure which word fit. I smiled gently. "Good. I hope he treats you well." She nodded, then hesitated. "He does. It's just different." Different. That word said everything. Later that night, I got an email from her. Not a text, not a call, an email. Like she needed the safety of distance to say what she couldn't face aloud. I thought freedom would feel like flying, but it feels like floating with no place to land. "Tyler's nice, but he's not you. The girls keep saying I should keep moving forward, but I'm starting to think they don't really know what happy means either." I read that message 3 times. Not out of hope, but clarity. She hadn't found better. She'd just found noise. I didn't reply that night. I waited a few days, not to play games, but to make sure my response came from peace, not pride. When I finally did, I wrote, "I'm glad you're being honest. But maybe this isn't about finding someone better. Maybe it's about finding who you were before everyone else told you what you deserve. I cared for you deeply, Emma, but you need to stop measuring love by comparison. If every mirror shows a different reflection, you'll never recognize yourself." She never replied. Months turned into a year. The divorce was quiet, mutual. No lawyers battling, no shouting. Just signatures and silence. I thought that would be the end, until one evening, I came home to find a small envelope slipped under my door. It was a letter from her. Handwritten. "You were right. They told me I could do better, but better isn't about more excitement or prettier pictures. It's about peace. You gave me that once, and I didn't see it until it was gone. I hope you find someone who knows the worth of quiet love." I sat there reading it, not angry, not nostalgic, just still. There's a moment in every heartbreak when the pain stops asking why and starts whispering thank you. That was mine. In time, I did meet someone else. Not a grand story, not a whirlwind, just a woman named Claire who laughed easily and didn't need to prove anything. She didn't ask me to be more than I was. She appreciated the small things, the morning coffee, the comfortable silences. Sometimes, when I think of Emma, it's not with bitterness. It's with understanding. She wasn't cruel, just lost. Influenced by a world that sells dissatisfaction as ambition, confusion as empowerment. Her friends meant well, maybe, but they mistook contentment for complacency. The truth is, love isn't about doing better. It's about being better for yourself, for each other, every day. And sometimes, being better means walking away before resentment ruins the good memories. If there's a lesson in all of this, it's simple. Never let someone else's opinion convince you to doubt what you already know is real. Because when you start measuring your life by other people's expectations, you stop living it for yourself. Emma tested what better looked like. What she found was noise, and what she lost was peace. I didn't win or lose. I just learned that sometimes, letting someone test their doubts is the only way to prove your own worth, not to them, but to yourself. Now, when people ask if I'd ever take her back, I smile and say, she was a chapter that taught me to stop editing myself for someone else's story. And that, I think, is what peace really looks like.